Welcome to A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Amanda and
Joseph. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. We are here to bring a new talk of the town.
a new show.
Yes, Farmer Wants a Wife.
That's right. And we just got finished watching the first 4 episodes. So we are going to recap episodes 1 through 4 today. And then we will be caught up. And then we can go on live schedule recapping the next episodes that air.
Yeah, we'll get caught up and then we'll be ready to roll as it happens live.
That's right. So, Farmer, how has your week been?
It's been great. I've been loading up some hay bales and pulling some weeds and
Well, you did some farming activities since we last met.
I mean, yeah, I've had to start mowing now that it's summertime.
Yeah, and he's on a
Becoming summer.
big mower.
Not a big mower, no. I don't have a tractor like these guys do. I have a standard, regular
Riding mower.
front engine mower.
Yeah, well, it's not a push mower. It's like the farmers.
Yeah, it's a front engine mower.
Yeah, well, he's out there riding on acres of land like the farmers do.
Yeah, it takes way too long. It's very time consuming.
Yes.
It's just me, myself, and my thoughts.
Yeah. And he takes care of our yard. He farms our yard.
I don't know about farming it, but I do a lot of landscaping for it. So
Landscaping.
it's the more appropriate term.
I like how you said that. That's good.
Yes, yeah. How's your week, farmer gal?
I've been outside helping you with some farming activities as well.
Yeah. You planting some seeds and
Yeah.
pruning some bushes and
Planting seeds of thought.
oh yeah, there you go. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah. No, my week has been good. I feel like we've just been pretty busy, but it was nice to get caught up with this show and get to see it for the first time because it's been 3 seasons in the making. This is the 3rd season, and we haven't seen the other 2.
Yeah, so we've never seen this show. Well, we saw it on a thumbnail for it, but we've
Thumbnail.
never. Yeah,
A
on like
preview?
on a streaming service. Yeah, but
Oh, you just mean we saw a picture of it? We didn't even see the preview?
right, yes,
I thought we saw a little bit of a preview, but
we may have watched that or something. But yeah, we're not.
wow, you literally meant a thumbnail. I thought that was like an accident.
No.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I distinctly remember the thumbnail, but
What was going on in the thumbnail?
it's the same one that we currently have. It's the bride behind and with a farmhouse as the back scene or a barnyard.
Yes.
But yeah, so we're watching this for the first time, so we are not familiar with the. Well,
Concept.
going into it, I didn't even do any prep work or anything. I don't know if you did anything, but I went in
I did
totally
not.
blind.
We went in cold on
So-
this one to just fully immerse ourselves as we were watching episode 1, season 3.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so in case any of you have not seen it like
Us.
us, there are, rather than a single suitor like bachelor or bachelorette, there are 4 suitors.
4 farmers looking for women, which was interesting because, yeah, I think I went into it thinking there maybe 1 or 2, not 4. So
I kind of just assumed it would be like bachelor, but farmer style.
yeah, it's very different, and each farmer has their own group of women.
Yeah, and this one's nice. So they actually, with the first episode, it's on, well, they go on the speed dates. I was about to say they interview them, but
They went through some interviews.
they,
It's like a hiring fair.
yeah, they do a big speed dating session, and then they actually get to pick who they want versus the Bachelor, where they're just handed 20 contestants. So,
Well, they started off saying there's 32 women, and the women chose which farmer they wanted beforehand by viewing their profiles, so they got to decide. And then it said the farmers had a hand in picking through hundreds of women to bring whoever they wanted out.
Right. It seems like they had more of a say in probably who came on versus. I think it was almost more of more of a dating thing, like versus Bachelor, where you're just handed these
Well, I wonder how
people.
much of a say they got, or how much of that was just like, yeah, they went through all the women to
Yeah,
see.
I'm not sure they had total control of who came on. I'm sure there was some by the producers of the show, but
Yeah, but they said they narrowed it down from 100 to 8 in each group.
right, yes,
Yeah,
and then they have to choose 6 people out of
the 8.
the yes that they want to keep on and actually take them back to the farm with them. And
So at first it was really confusing trying to place which ladies were with each man and then the names of each farmer, but after watching 4 episodes, we have it down.
yeah, it's taken a minute, but it's it's definitely a lot more. There's a lot more going on. I feel like because you've got 4 different farmers that you're following, and then the different women that they have. Where I mean, obviously, at the beginning of Bachelor or something too, you have uh, so many names to remember, but then it kind of starts dwindling down. You start seeing the prominent ones that stick out,
Right.
but now here you have like multiple prominent ones with each farmer that have to stick out. So it's kind of more names you have to remember. But
Yes, it definitely. And we're introduced to the host, which I guess people that have seen the first 2 seasons, they're probably familiar with Kim. We had no idea who she was. And she says, hey, I'm the host. And, years ago, I was a city girl and I fell in love with a farmer boy. And we've been married for 21 years. And, the same can happen for you.
yeah, well, I thought, I mean, I was kind of wondering who she is, and I guess they probably, if we watched season 1, they probably gave a little more background into the host.
Well,
But
I was more naive. I thought, okay, so she's just this random person who married a farmer. Great. I didn't know she was connected to later on in episode 4. We find out Brad Paisley is her husband.
yeah, well, that's when it finally, because we saw him, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But
Yeah.
I'm sure she probably would have mentioned that, or they would have said something about that in season 1. But I don't. The other thing too is I think she's got a hyphenated name, but I don't know. Paisley didn't even click to me that it could have been Brad, but that would have been like a shot in the dark at that point anyway.
I was not thinking that
But
at all. So,
yeah, so that was a surprise. But
surprise.
so yes, that's our host, and
So, let's go through the farmers. We have farmer Matt, and we learned that his brother and wife bought a farm and he started farming to help them a couple of years ago. And he is in California. He's 5 miles from the beach. And his farm, they grow avocados and fruits, which was different than the other 3 farmers.
yeah, so each farmer has a different. They're all different, like industries within agriculture. So he's avocados and exotic fruits.
Which this would be the best farm to be a part of. California, nice area, some delicious fruits. Okay, yeah, sign me up for avocado farm life.
yeah, that was it's not your typical
Right.
farm life, I would say.
So we learn that his sister-in-law's parents started the farm, but they both tragically passed away, which is why he stepped up to help, which is nice. And he really cares for his nieces and nephews that he has too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he seems like a nice guy overall.
So we learn about Matt's women that he has to choose from. And we're introduced to Chelsea, who grew up in a ranching family in Texas. She flips houses, and Matt has done that too. So they have that in common. And we meet Jordan, who is a musician, and she sings and plays the guitar. And she's from Nashville. Next, we're introduced to Halle, and we learn that her dream life is being with dogs. She likes being near the water, and she does like produce. And she told Matt that the dimples are dimpling. That's the quote I have from her here.
Yeah.
So those are the people that stood out so far in the first episode that Matt talked to. But there's an elimination ceremony, and we learn those staying include Alex, Jordan, Halle, Rachel, and Chelsea. So those are Matt's 5 women.
Yeah, it seems like he has a nice group of girls.
So moving on to Farmer Jay, we learn that he grew up on a farm. He played football and then he retired after getting some injuries. He had a concussion and he went back to farming after this. He bought back his grandfather's farm after he passed away. His family sold it and then it became available and he bought it back. So the women that stood out in our first episode, Julia, she brought him a picture of her in a country hat and in a bathing suit printed. What'd you think of this move?
Yeah, first, yeah, I think he also mentioned that the farm has been, that land specifically has been in his 6 generations back that he's been, so that's quite the
Yeah.
history behind it. But yeah, so we see Julia who brings this picture, and I don't know, I think she mentioned, because she's from the city, she's a city girl, and I don't know, this was like not a great, I feel like a great way to, I don't know, it just brought, like, it just kind of, I feel like it's just, I don't know how to say, I mean, I don't know, it just focused so much on the physical. And
Well, when she leaves, he says, I thought this was a family show.
yeah, because I mean, yeah, he's just making kind of a joke, but
Yeah, I think this was a little too bold of a move here.
yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know, because her whole thing was like, I'm from the city, but I know how to look the part or something, but it just
Yeah.
was, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a genuine way to learn about her.
Yeah. Can't say I would have done the same. But the one thing that she said that was my favorite, she asked if there's a Starbucks nearby, and he says yes. So that is great to know that.
Yeah, so apparently Starbucks still exist even in the most remote of locations, next to farmlands. Even,
Yes.
I guess they want their coffee as well.
Yeah. You can still on the weekend get your Starbucks fix. That's great.
Yeah.
And then we have Grace, and she has goats at home and she loves goats. So we learned that about her as well. And then it's time for the elimination ceremony. And we have staying with Jay, Tiana, Vivian Lee, Karina, Grace, and Julia.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, I would say this group is a little more. Oh, Julio's the only one I would kind of have concerns about going forward, just based on how her introduction was made. But yeah, I mean, the others seem fine so far.
Seem good so far. That's right.
Yeah.
And then we have Farmer John, and we learn he is farming and he's also going to law school at the same time. And he lives at his parents' house in St. Louis, and he is an urban cowboy. And the first women we see with Farmer John is Samantha. He automatically compliments her eyes. She asks if he tells everyone that they have great eyes, and he says no. She says he's a liar. He says that he doesn't watch football, and she's a big sports person. So that's one thing that they are not bonding over there so far. And she says he needs to work on that. He disagrees. And he said he felt that she was hating on him a little bit for not liking sports. So, but I think he liked the difference of opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think he liked more so. I mean, she clearly is like the fiery bunch in his group because she really kind of comes out of the doors blazoned and very strong-willed and just kind of wants to say exactly what she's wanting or thinking. And so, yeah, he seems to have an interest in this and or likes that aspect. So
Yes.
they seem to do kind of hit it off. At least there's a mystery almost to it. Like he's definitely wanting to learn more about her and see who she is really. And
Yes.
yeah.
And then we're introduced to Lily, and we learn she can skin a fish and she wants kids. What? And you kept saying this throughout the other episodes. Yeah, that's the one who can skin a fish. That's the skin a fish girl.
Yeah, because that's what I wrote in my notes. It said Lily, skin of it.
So then,
Yeah, I mean they have a seems like he wants to learn more about her as well.
wants to learn more about the skin
Yeah,
off the fish.
he needs to learn how to fillet his own fish.
So, staying with Farmer John, we have Lily, Chloe, Kaylee, Claire, and Samantha. And at the end of the elimination ceremony, Samantha makes a bold statement and says if she isn't picked for the solo date going forward, she is out the door.
Yeah, I mean she's this. Why? I mean, she knows exactly what she wants, and it's just strange that she. I don't know. I really don't know what possessed her to come on a show like this. Yeah, I mean, it seems like she'll be an interesting one to watch going forward.
Yes, agreed. Next, we meet Farmer Colton, and we learn that he has a 2-year-old son, and he gets emotional when he's speaking about him, which is really sweet. And his farm has been in the family for 3 generations, and he went through a divorce, which was pretty painful on him. So then we meet his women, and first we see Keely, who's a dance coach, and she teaches little kids, which he likes because we already know that she likes little children. And then she teaches him some ballet moves too.
Yes, yeah, he gets a a little lesson here, but I mean, it's interesting because kind of going through all of the speed dates, they obviously focus in like the ones that they seem to kind of have a connection with, or the ones who got the most time. You can kind of tell, right? Like they must be moving on to the next round because unless they were just a firecracker or something, but.
Yeah.
But these ones that have good interactions, right? Like they clearly have chemistry there, and that they're gonna move on. But yeah, we see that clearly it seems like he will definitely want to continue things with her.
Well, here's an example of someone who doesn't move on. Mackenzie, we see, and she is wearing super white country boots, which he says, that might not be best for life on the farm. They're going to get dirty pretty quickly. So off the bat, she's trying to impress him with these country boots, and he's not impressed with the color of them because they're going to get messy. So,
Yeah. Well, it's weird because I feel like I don't know when when I don't know, maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I feel like when I've seen like girls who go out and wear boots or whatever, they always have white boots. Which I feel like it's like a weird thing. I guess it's great for fashion, right? But they're not practical in a real sense, and so she wears these things.
yeah.
He's looking at it from a practical sense, and
And she's not. It's just a fashion
right,
statement.
yeah.
And she says she wants her own kids one day. And this probably throws him off because why would she use those choice of words when he already has a kid? Well, I mean, it's okay to want your own kids, but it seemed like the way she said it was meant to like throw him off a little bit.
I guess maybe to show that at least that she likes kids. She's in, she would like to have some as well, and
She said, I'd like my own kids one day. But I don't think that's discluding his son. But maybe she
No,
could have said it a little bit differently. Like, I'd love to have kids one day.
sure, yeah. I mean, she just would like to, you know, have her own family, or her
Which
own
would include his
biological children.
son, too.
Yes, right, but her own biological children as
Sure.
well. So,
But if I were her, I probably would have mentioned something about his son.
yeah, sure, she could have
Or
phrased it a little bit better to seem more inclusive or something with him. But
I don't know. Maybe
I'm sure
it
he
was
got
just,
the point, though.
yeah.
I don't think it was like a.
But I don't know. They didn't seem to mesh very well at the beginning of this conversation, anyway. And he says that she seems really young and doesn't know if she would fit in with his lifestyle. And then she was eliminated pretty quickly. And then she said, "I'm not doing my exit interview." So, like, it's a job, and she's not completing the exit interview portion.
Yeah, so she was the one who.
Remember, you said they're in the rounds of interviews for the hiring process.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's one of the ones that doesn't make it, who does get a decent amount of screen time for this, but doesn't make it.
What do you think about her refusing her exit interview? As a person in HR, that breaks my heart when someone doesn't complete their exit interview, because then we can't learn.
Yeah. I mean, I would not. I could get it maybe if she was one of the last ones to be eliminated or something, where she's very much involved or something at this point. I feel like at this stage in the game to get rejected like this and seem that upset over it, it's kind of like, were you really here for? Are you just? Is this just a publicity stunt, like
And
a
maybe
TV
he
thing,
saw right through it too, because it
Yeah.
kind of matches with his comments of her maybe not being ready for this. So
Yeah, because why would someone the first day you meet and then he doesn't want to continue something? Why would you be that
right.
devastated over this? So yeah, she did seem a little. I think he made a good call with her.
I think so too. And then we're introduced to Bailey, who I wrote was super tall.
Yeah, I mean, she was. I think she's like as tall as him. And then they made a remark. What was it? Oh, all right.
All I wrote was super tall.
I think that's what I said too. I just said tall girl.
So they must have made some comments about that.
Yeah.
So we find out the women that are staying include Taylor, Keely, Zoe, Hope, and Bailey.
None of them seem to be like a potential hazard or anything like that going forward.
So far, yeah.
His group, yeah.
Yeah.
They seem relatively
normal.
Level-headed.
Yeah. So then we learn that each farmer gets to choose one woman to spend 24 hours of time with him on his farm. And we learn who they pick. So Matt picks Jordan, who's the musician from Nashville. Jay picks Grace, who's the nanny from Washington. John picks Samantha, who is in sales from Dallas. And she got the first date. Thank goodness, because she said she's walking out the door if she doesn't get this first date. So,
yeah.
And Colton picked Bailey, who is a barista from Washington. So they have 24 hours to impress.
Yeah, so this is a kind of an interesting take. So we see the four, and they get 24 hours alone with their farmer
before the other women come to join them, which is kind of odd, don't you think?
I think it's kind
of... Well, it's nice, but then you've already established this like great connection with one person, and then four other women come barreling through the door right after, which has to make that person feel awkward.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right there getting it, but I would just say it could go both ways, right? I mean, it could be 24 hours that, yeah, maybe you do start already leaning in her favor because you have a great connection, or you could find out that, hey, this person actually is, I don't think, great for me at all, and you can have her leave the first night or whatever.
But it seemed to have worked in the way where they've all created this really great foundation with the person that they picked off the bat, which also makes the other women coming in jealous of the connection that the farmer just made with the other. So
Well, that and they have to work that much harder to try to.
match up to that level.
Yeah. But I would say, too, I mean, they're obviously going to pick who they're most interested in just out of the get go to do the 24-hour date with. So, yeah, I mean, they're already going to, like, by default, I think, kind of lead the pack because that's just who the farmer's drawn to day one.
Right, that's true. They already had that going for them. The favorite, the one that stuck out the most.
Like, it would be like if they had the group and if they can only pick one to even go out on a date with, that's who they would pick.
You know, it would be fair if they had a hat, their farmer hat, that they placed all the names in and then they picked out a name and that was the person that they spent 24 hours with.
No, that'd be dumb.
But then you don't know who's their favorite so far.
Yeah, right. That's true.
And it gives somebody else that maybe wasn't a front runner in their mind a chance. But I don't know. That would just be interesting. This way is fine. But
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, right? It's the farmer trying to pick who they want to
yeah, hence
marry.
the name Farmer
Yeah.
Wants a Wife. That's true.
They should have to play a game of
Let's
chance.
play a little game.
A game of chance to find out who they want to be with.
True.
But
So let's jump right into episode 2. We're coming to date our man, is what it's called. And we first see Matt's farm in California, his beautiful avocado fruits. And he brought Jordan home. And for their date, they go to eat oysters and then they go to the hot tub. And off the bat, he says he's worried that maybe she wouldn't want to move out to California because she's so connected to Nashville because that's where she does her music and that's where her career is. So I felt like that was a fair thing to be worried about. And especially where he's at in California, it's a much quieter scene and Nashville's very loud. And so it's a change of pace for her as well. And he asks her, would you give up, some of that to come here? And she says she's serious about making this work. So in other words, she's ready to give up her passion, or at least a little bit.
well, I think it was more. Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I mean, it's great because you're going ahead and getting that out there, but already on essentially your first date to talk about where you're going to end up. But I think it was more so that she could still do it. I mean, she could still do it out in California, sure. I mean, obviously Nashville is like the hub for country music, so that's the best place to be if you really want to do that. But she doesn't seem that would, trump her love connection. I mean, that's more important to her than the music. So
Yeah.
and she could still do it probably in California somewhere if and they kind of talked about that, which I think that would be a great because that's the one thing with these farmers, right, is they they can't get up and move anywhere. I mean, they're chained because they're tied to the land. So
it really would be the woman that would have to make the move.
yeah, they're gonna have to be the ones that get up and move because farmers can't. So
Which I guess they would have already thought signing up for this process. Like, is this feasible for me, especially when they were picking which farmer they were interested in?
yeah, right. I mean, are you okay with moving? Because you're gonna have to. There's no other option. So
Right. So yeah, it can still work. And they seem to have a pretty good connection throughout their date.
yeah, no, I think they had a great one. It was very. I mean, I think everything went well. They already kind of had some big or serious conversations on things, and yeah, I would kind of lean that they're already kind of starting off strong.
Yeah, very strong. And then the other girls come in after the 24 hours is
Yeah.
up. And they go to the farm. So after each 24-hour date, they show the women doing a farm activity with each other. And for Matt, they go with nets to go collect avocados, which actually, that looks really fun. I'd like to go do that. Let's go collect avocados.
Wow.
Didn't
Maybe.
you think that looked like the most fun activity compared to all the other farms?
I mean, sure, it was definitely the most pleasant because he's
Pleasant, laid back. You don't have to deal with manure.
yeah, it was one of the less dirty jobs, probably the least dirty job out of the bunch, but
Yeah, Matt's farm for the win. Low key.
yeah. I mean, they each have their own perks, but yeah,
Yeah,
this would be one of them.
it's my favorite. It's my favorite. From location to just what it is that he farms. Avocados, I could be drowning in avocados. They're great.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
true.
So Chelsea got the most avocados in her net, and he was impressed by this, and the ladies were jealous.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny because he originally said his or the start of the challenge was whoever finds the largest avocado, but then they all dumped it in the same bucket, and then he kind of realized that was a dumb idea because
He shifted.
then he didn't know who had the who had the largest one because they all dumped their results in the same bin.
So
then
then it was who had the most.
right, so then she won because she picked the most. So showing the hard worker badge here.
Yes.
But yeah, she's our winner, and so they get a little one-on-one time.
Yeah, the ladies didn't like this very much.
Yeah, but who would if you didn't win?
True. So then each farmer, they get a note saying that they can consider to eliminate someone out of the group of 5 that each of them have. And Matt decides to keep everyone at the end of this episode.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting too, because kind of going back, it seems like the suitor of the farmer in this case, at least in this show, they get a little more leeway in when they're sending the girls home versus not, because it's not like in Bachelor where they're like forced. You have
Like you have to have an elimination ceremony.
right where at this moment in time someone needs to go home. They have a little more leeway of when they can send someone home.
Right.
Which is nice for them because I guess they can either figure out, but yeah. So I guess this night, the first night, he is given that option, and he just says he doesn't want to send anyone home yet. He hasn't really, I think, discovered enough yet about people to know whether or not he even wants to pursue or not. So
Right. I think it's too early.
yeah.
Yeah, which I can understand that. He's giving everybody a fair chance. He wants to get to know people more before he decides on doing that. Okay, moving on to Jay. And he lives in Alabama, and he is a hay and cattle farmer, but we also see chickens on his farm. And he brings Grace home first. And he first goes with Grace to a football game, and he gifts her a number 1 football jersey.
Yeah, so this was his number that he mentioned when he played football. He had number 1, and take him out to the Friday night lights and kind of see about kind of what because his whole thing was he originally wanted to, pursue football originally before he did the whole farming thing, but here he is, and he's showing her a little bit of that life.
I feel like every show we've watched recently has a man looking for love that has played football, and that's in his past.
Yeah, because that's a lot of young American boys' dreams.
And everybody gets injured and stops playing.
Yeah, I mean,
It was like 2 people on Love is Blind, Grant from The Bachelor, and now Jay.
yeah, well, all right. I guess Grant was basketball, but yeah, I mean, at least
Or football or basketball,
yeah.
I guess is what I mean to say.
some
Like a sports injury.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Love is Blind was basketball too. Or we had a basketball and a football. We've had 2 basketballs and 2 footballs.
Devin was the basketball. And Nick was a football.
You're right. Right.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yeah, every show we've reviewed, there's somebody with a sports related injury. Stops
Yeah,
playing.
that's an interesting point.
I want to see how many times that continues to come up in the shows that we recap.
Yeah, that's true.
So then the other girls join and they go to Jay's farm and they feed the cows. And then Julia starts sticking out like a sore thumb. She says, you know, I'm a model. And then we see she doesn't really fit in with the farm life. And Jay notices this.
Yeah, so we see, I mean, this was like kind of a guaranteed thing, right? That it was going to really be, is she really here for the right reasons? I mean, I don't know. She definitely, I don't think could ever really get accustomed to that type of life.
I mean, if you're not willing to go all in to the country lifestyle and try to fit in, then why are you on this show? Is it for fame?
Yeah, the 15 minutes of TV time you get. Because, yeah. But yeah, so we see this, and I guess we'll see whether it continues on or not. But
yeah, so far that's what happens with her, though.
yeah, I mean, she's just operating in a way that I would expect so far. So.
And then we learn that Jay wants to keep everyone as well.
Yeah, so he decides to not have anyone cut yet, and I mean, I think it really kind of makes sense because. I mean, he gets the 24 hours, they get the 24 hours with one girl, and then it's like not even 24 hours that they're given the option to cut someone. So, yeah, unless you just really have some disdain for someone, then I can't imagine,
Yeah, it's like I spent 10 minutes with you other four and
right.
I'm going to eliminate somebody.
Yeah.
So next we go to John's farm in St. Louis, and he brings Samantha to his parents' house where he lives. And he has a soybean crop. And then I think he also farms wheat.
Yeah, so he's a soybean and wheat farmer, and
which this isn't a bad farm to have either. It's more, I don't know. I can't really comment if it's more labor intensive than other farm.
I would say his is probably less. I mean, I am not a
in your
expert
professional
in
farming
any,
experience.
But I mean, I would just say they're able to utilize the huge farming machines that can, plow the fields and pick the wheat automatically and chuck it, and
Yeah.
not chuck, but
you still have to drive that machinery around.
yeah, but that's not labor intensive.
What about you when you mow the lawn? That's labor intensive.
No, it's not. It's just time consuming.
It's
me operating a machine that's doing all the work for me, but I have to.
You're doing the work by putting your foot to the pedal.
Yeah.
But I sit on top of it.
And go in circles for hours and hours.
Do you feel like your mind's going in circles too? Like you're going crazy?
Yeah, it goes probably crazy by the end of the season, but yeah.
Interesting. So John and Samantha ride an ATV through the yard and then through the water, and they get to a picnic. And he says, we both like to mean flirt with each other. And he goes in to kiss her, and she pauses and she pulls away and says she cannot kiss him on camera. And this is because she's going to marry someone and she doesn't want a video of her kissing him for her future husband, whether that's him or not. And he says he understands.
Well, she would kiss him if it was him, but if it was someone else, if there's a chance that it's someone else, then she doesn't want to do that. Which honestly, I wouldn't be like, I could understand this. Like,
but
I would.
How would you test your connection with that person? That could get in the way of you winning their heart on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I probably wouldn't want something floating out there either if I, connected with someone else. But I mean, if there's a way, I mean, sure, I don't know, find a way to sneak one off camera or something, but
Yeah, that would be ideal.
just wait till the pivotal moment when all the spotlights are on you.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of me also feels like you signed up to do this show. What did you think was going
Yes,
to
I mean,
happen?
first and foremost, I, I mean, she has like this exact picture of what she wants, and I think coming on a show like this is just strange. If you are this dead set in what you want and know, and you're not going to tolerate the, even the idea of him talking to other people
Then that's a
and
problem.
exploring this, then yeah, why this is not a place for you to be.
So the girls remove weeds from his soybean crop, and then we see some footage of them. They're getting ready for elimination, and John is standing outside and listens to the women getting upset and anxious about the upcoming possible elimination. And it's really Kaylee getting anxious about this. And then John pulls Kaylee aside and they talk. And then he tells the women he's deciding to keep everybody for now.
Yeah, so he basically just kind of wanted to check that she's in this and she's serious about going forward, and she says she is, so that's enough for him to keep her around for now. So yeah, no one goes home. And yeah, I mean, there's really no one that, I mean, we've at least seen here that he did kind of a quick checkup just to pulse to see where she's at in this process. But yeah, everyone still seems willing enough to move on. So
Yes. And then we go to Colton's farm in Arkansas. And what would you say that Colton's farm does?
he's a rancher. So he's got a bunch of horses and raises them, and yeah.
Did you say there were donkeys too?
I don't know. I don't know why I said colt rancher because I don't think it said that. I think it's just a rancher, which is just horses mainly. I mean, it could be other things, but it's just generally horses.
So him and Bailey start out riding horses, which is perfect. And we learn Bailey has 5 siblings with different fathers. And she said she didn't really get to hang out with her mom growing up. And things got a little deep in their conversation, which was nice that she felt close enough to open up to him about some of those things. And he gifted her a horseshoe with their initials on it. And he said he would have to trade it for a kiss.
Yes, yeah, which was I guess was clever to some degree. I don't know.
To some degree.
I don't know. It wasn't like a super slick thing, but it was
Yeah.
something at least.
And then the other women come in, and this was kind of weird because they come in and Bailey and Colton are holding hands like they're already girlfriend and boyfriend, and they're walking in on this. So they had to feel somewhat awkward or like they were interrupting something.
Yeah, I think they mentioned something about that when they were pulling up in the vehicle, right? And they're like, "Oh, I wonder," or especially once they get in, they kind of ask for all the inside scoop and what's happened so far, and
She says the date went well.
yeah, where they're already standing. So
Then the ladies start mucking out the horse stalls, and they're using shovels at first, but then they start using their hands.
well, yeah, so they've got to shovel out some manure and
With
Col-
their hands.
yeah, I mean, well, you showed either way. You could take a scooper if you want and do it, or
Why would you need to use your hands if you have a scooper?
I don't know, it's just easier. You just pick it up and chuck it out.
And have you done that before? What do you mean it's just easier?
I don't know.
So then we see there's a lot of awkward moments between him and Taylor. So he says in an interview they don't have a lot in common. And then he says to Taylor, "Can you join me alone?" And then we're left on a cliffhanger episode 2 because he says, you're a smoke show, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at this point he's probably giving her the boot just because of what he's already expressed and how he feels with their connection. It just doesn't seem strong.
So going right into episode 3, he tells Taylor that he has stronger connections with other women and doesn't want to string her along, so she can leave now. And this is the weird part about eliminations too. So this was done in a private conversation. Then Taylor comes back to the group of girls and she basically tells them, I'm going home. But she also says that Colton told her that his heart skips a beat for one of the girls here, which caused a lot of drama coming up.
she almost comes with like, since she got eliminated, almost like a little bit of spitefulness here, and just saying, well, I'm just gonna lay out everything he just said.
Well, it's almost like twisting some of his words too.
Yeah, she definitely does not say it exactly how he said it. She adds her own little spin to it to kind of make the girls almost have a question him or be wondering, what's going on, or is it even worth still going on with this or whatnot.
She leads the group of girls to believe that, he's only interested in one person so far. And then Bailey smiling because she knows it's probably her because she just had the date with him. But the women say they really need an explanation from Colton because of that comment. Like, is it worth them even all being here still?
Which this was kind of interesting because they were having this conversation all in front of Bailey. And I wonder how she must have been like, because it's not like she could really chime in and be
she was just
yeah,
smiling in the corner.
Right. Like, it's like, yeah, what's going on with this or whatever. Because, I mean, obviously it's about her since she's had the most time so far. But
so we learn in this episode that each of the farmers have their groups of friends come to meet the women to help them decide who to eliminate. But since Colton already eliminated somebody now, his friends don't join this episode.
yeah, so they have this was kind of interesting to maybe they'll have like something later down the road where they'll have a scene with his friends talking with the girls or something, but I don't know, that was kind of interesting because it wasn't the same across the board with everyone. But
so since he already eliminated somebody, he gets to pick a lady for some one-on-one time, and he picks Keely. And Keely talks to him about the comment that Taylor made earlier, and he said that it was a terrible choice of words that he used. He just meant his connection wasn't as strong with her as it is for other people. And Keely says, okay, yeah, I accept that. And then she opens up a little bit more about herself, and she says she's a homebody. She loves her family. She's an only child. So her family can move with her. So she sees no trouble in moving to where Colton is. And she says she likes being in nature, and then they share a kiss.
yeah, well, he brought up this. This is what I did see this, and this made me kind of think. Well, I don't know. He seems a little weird at this point because he loves bringing up. I feel like the way he gets to kiss these women, because this one was. He's like, "Can I ask you something? I've been dying to ask you since I met you."
And she was like really intrigued. She's like, "Oh, what? What?"
Yeah, and then it's just like, "Oh, I just want to kiss you."
Do you think she was disappointed because she thought maybe he was going to ask a really good question?
I'm sure it was probably she probably thought it was something else than that, but I don't know the way he like brings these segues into is that I feel because it was a little I don't know I guess I don't know I guess it's just it's definitely different.
Definitely different than the other three, the way
Yeah.
they're approaching everything.
I don't know. It's more like he makes this big spectacle leading up to the moment, which is fine. I mean, everyone's obviously got their own taste, but most of the other people, right? You kind of feel the moment and it happens or whatever. But he has this big like introductory to
To the moment happening.
right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. So then we see Jay and the ladies, they do morning chores with chickens and goats. And then they meet Jay's friends and they're off playing pool. And we see Julia, she's in stilettos playing pool.
Yeah, so we see her playing pool, and then I don't think she's really ever played pool before, so they're trying to kind of teach her,
This was a weird scene.
yeah, so they're showing her the ropes or whatever, and then she hits the ball, and she does a terrible job at it. And so then she just kind of throws a fit and just says, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, she blames it on the stilettos or whatever, but one, again, why do you need stilettos when you're out in the farm? But I mean, at least, I don't know, just play a little bit of the part of hey, I don't know, even the white cowboy boots would probably be better than the stilettos at this point. But
Well, why do you need to wear stilettos to go hang out at a bar or play pool?
well, it's
Yeah,
just because that's just what she probably generally wears when she goes
I
out,
guess
being
so.
from the city. She's not used to wearing boots or wearing anything else to go out. But the bigger thing is that she is frustrated with like the pool, and then she just gives up. She doesn't want to play it
Yeah.
anymore. They try to encourage her to continue, and
She
she just
says, "No,
says,
no,
"No,
I'm
I'm
done."
done," which is just like weird because it just would. What that? I mean, obviously that puts a really bad taste in Jay's mouth. Because why would I want this person who she can't even get down to play pool? After working on the farm all the day or whatever.
Yeah, and when she was working on the farm, she wasn't out there working the hardest on the farm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, she just keeps pointing to this, why is she really here? I mean,
so the friends pick up on it too, and they say, Julius from the city. They're worried about whether or not this would be a good match for him, and so we learn a little bit about her there first, which we'll see how that pans out, and then they talk to Vivian Lee, and this is where we find out she's never been in a relationship before, which really worries his friends and Jay too. And they talk to Tiana, who says she needs to be engaged to make a move for a man. So she needs a ring to move. So these are the main things that they gather from the women, the highlights. And then Jay, instead of picking one person for the date, because this is what they need to do, pick somebody to get to know a little bit better to decide if they're going to be a good match for them for a one-on-one. Jay picks two people, so he picks Julia and Vivian Lee. He couldn't pick just one. He was very concerned about the two of them. And we end Jay's time here in this episode by him talking to Julia and bringing up some honest concerns. And he just doesn't really know if she wants to be here. So he's going to find that out.
yeah. So he has this conversation with her, and basically that are you here for the right reasons? And she says she is. But one thing that I picked up on was at the bar. Th- they were going a little bit into Jay. He mentioned, his ex was a city girl, and that made me kind of when he said that made me understand better of why he's keeping Julia around. I feel like Julia is probably very similar to what his ex was like, and obviously he's just kind of naturally drawn to that. And so I think that's what's making him keep her around.
And that's what's probably making his friends nervous.
Yes, because I do think she's just not making the effort. I think to adapt to the life, and she's gonna have to if you know. So yeah, I think she is not great for him, but I think there is this connection that he has with something with probably the past relationship that is influencing his connection with her, and that's why he's willing to keep her around. So I am
That's a
nervous
good
for
point.
him about that. Yeah, so when Tiana mentioned the ring thing, I mean, I would understand. I mean, Not
I
gonna.
think that is understandable. Yes, for a serious relationship, she'll move.
Yeah.
But they
Why
were
would
acting
I?
like that was outlandish for her to say something like that.
Yeah, that was like a little strange on the guys because I would never just move
And
for.
also, the show is called Farmer Wants a Wife, so why is that so weird of a thing to bring up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have to propose by the if they're like required to propose or
Yeah, I have
whatever,
no
like
idea.
Bachelor is or whatever. But obviously, the title they clearly are serious about
And the thumbnail
marriage. But
with the
yeah,
wedding dress.
but yeah, I don't know why that was like why they really the guys made that such a big deal because that was strange. But anyway, yeah, that was
Agreed.
just a little weird.
So then off to Farmer John. Their chore for the morning is getting hay into a truck, which seems like a good workout. Picking up barrels of hay.
Yeah, no, that's hard labor.
Yes. And then we see John's friends, and they're also playing pool, which I thought was interesting. And one of the first things that he tells his friends is that Samantha pulled back when he tried to kiss her. And so that's something worth mentioning. And he wants them to assess Chloe because he can't tell if she's the right fit or not. And then the girls come in. The friends pull Samantha aside to talk to her first. And they learn she's from California. They wonder whether or not she will fit in here. And she says, it would be pretty hard because I do like civilization. It seemed like she disagreed with like every point that they made, which was really interesting. And she said maybe they could compromise, which I don't know how you'd compromise when he's a farmer at his family home.
Yeah, I don't. After hearing this conversation, I don't really understand it because it sounds like in her ideal world, she would win him or whatever. He would choose her, and then she would want him to move to like the city or something, and just like give up the farm life, which is the total opposite of what this thing is.
It's really weird how defiant she is on all of these points, which is what the whole show is built around. So,
Right. So she clearly would not be down for moving, with him onto the farm.
his friends make a comment to her that John likes to be the one in charge of the steering wheel. He likes to do the driving, and she says, "Well, normally I'm the one in charge of the steering wheel. I'm the driver. I like controlling things too." So, I wrote that it seems like a terrible fit between the two of them. Okay, so the friends then corner Chloe, and they say they didn't understand who she was in their time with her. She didn't say a lot to them. And they also mentioned if the chemistry feels forced, it's probably not right. So then he brings Chloe to the side for some one on one time. And this is where she actually opens up about some things. So she opens up about her dad being in and out of her life. And she talks about how great her mom is. And this is where he says, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm still not feeling the connection between the two of us. So get out." But he didn't say it like that. But I just found this like slightly comical because in the other love shows that we watch, usually when someone opens up about something hard in their life, they automatically get the rose or they automatically get like "Oh, thanks so much for opening up. I'll keep you on to the next round." And he didn't really care at that point. He was just like, "Yeah, well, we don't have any chemistry. Goodbye."
Yeah. Yeah, usually you can kind of create or mention something that's been really tough and that can get you kind of as a scapegoat to move on a little bit longer. But
Which I mean, it's good he's being honest and he's just saying, "Yeah, well, this still isn't going to work between the two of us." But
yeah, I don't know. I think it's just with less girls, you just in time. I mean, he felt what he felt, and
goodbye.
yeah.
So moving on to Matt, their chore for the morning is planting passion fruit vines. And then we get to see Matt's friends, and it's drinks with the friends. And
Well, they were all the same setting, which I kind of thought was
yes,
funny. But I mean, yeah, I mean that I guess you kind of think of like this stereotypical scene, but I guess clearly it is because they were all
In all different states, the same kind of
the
setting.
bar and pool table, like that's what it was. It was just funny to
Yeah,
see that, but
same thing 3 times.
yeah,
So his friends like the women that they're getting to talk to, and Halle gets picked for the date, and he wants to see if there is a friend connection between the two of them or if there's a romantic vibe there. And Halle opens up to Matt, says she was cheated on in the past, and she says she could really see herself living where Matt is living. And Matt said because of this date, their connection got a lot stronger.
yeah. I mean, I think he got to see more of her side, and that they were able to connect more from it, and he clearly has made a decision that there could be some romantic connection here, not just purely platonic.
Yes.
So onward she moves.
So moving on to episode 4, titled You Can't Pick All 5. And in this episode, the farmers and the girls pack up their bags and they go to Nashville, Tennessee for a country dance. Woohoo.
Yeah. Well, so this was something else that I was, we were kind of talking about, especially after like watching the third one before we saw the fourth. But, the dates were, I guess we'll see how the rest of it goes out, or the rest of the series plays out. But, they aren't on these big fancy dates like Bachelor, where they go to Madrid for one season, or one show, and then the next episode they're flying to Scotland. And
yeah, this is definitely more laid back and way more realistic to what life will look like. They're always doing a farmer chore in the morning. They're at the farm firsthand. They're not going outlandish. They're not going skydiving every day or jumping off of buildings. And
yeah, I thought this like whole approach to I feel like this whole approach to this is so much more grounded and realistic and would actually work outside of the show. Where
right. This would be your life. You would be going out to the bar if you wanted to go out, right?
yeah, it's not this completely daunting thing where you've been traveling the world for free or whatever, and then now you're
At Burger King
with this
and you hate
person,
it.
and
Yeah.
you're not doing the crazy luxurious things anymore. So the spark you thought just dies out. But here they're, and a lot of it was they're doing the activities, or it's just they're sitting by a campfire, sitting on a bench in the forest,
Yeah,
just
having a
talking. It's
picnic.
just a lot
Yeah.
of conversations, not all these like crazy activities that would be on like somebody's bucket list or something. Like,
Right.
So I think these were so much better. Now we see here where they finally do have like a first travel, but even this was like not even like some grandiose thing. They just go to Nashville to do a country dance,
Country dance.
together. And yeah, it's not even this like, it's just like, even still, even that was like, it's a little more fun and everyone's together, but still isn't this like wild,
Outlandish
crazy
thing.
activity thing that
Besides Brad Paisley joining.
yeah, but it's not like he even performed at the, I thought, oh,
I
maybe
thought
he'll,
he was
like,
going to perform, or there would be like a big performer. You know how on The Bachelor they have like famous
yeah,
people
right.
that
They
come
these
in.
name,
Right.
these A celebrities that are performing. Where they didn't even show who was performing here. But yeah, like I feel like this is so much more natural, and there's not this pressure of creating all this insane drama. Yeah, there's some drama because it's
Okay, this episode
but-
we saw the first real drama moments.
yeah, it definitely
happen.
grew in this one for sure. But yeah, all in all, I just think the whole experience is like a lot more. I don't know. For me, who's not crazy about the whole, we've got to make reality TV as drama intense as
Right.
possible. I feel like this is like very refreshing
Realistic.
to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's what's going on with the groups of women before we get into the whole barn dance experience. So with Jay, he's still talking to Julia about some of his concerns that he has about her, and she confirms that she wants to be here with him, and he asks her to stay. With Vivian Lee, he's worried that she hasn't had any relationships before and doesn't know if she wants to settle down. And he tells her that there's something missing. They could be good friends. Oh, but then he eliminates Vivian Lee. and says this is your last night on the farm. And then she comes back and tells the women. I feel like this is always the awkward moment when the person like comes back and they're upset, but then they have to go face the women that are still there. And then Julia cries, like really hardcore is crying that Vivian Lee is leaving.
Yeah, so we see Vivian leaves here, and I guess Jay just wasn't feeling it deeply enough to. This is the weakest link.
Goodbye.
Yeah, so she's eliminated, and she seems to be Jay just doesn't have a great connection with her. Or I guess more so that at this point, it's getting up to the point where, hey, you've got to let someone go at this point. They
Yeah.
are starting to have like a.
There's more and more pressure to let somebody
Yeah.
go. And he just did not have that deep of a connection with Vivian Lee. And then he found out, on top of it, she hasn't had a serious boyfriend before. And that really worried him. And I think he has more of an attraction with Julia. So that's why he kept her around.
Yeah, I think she thinks that she could be just not mature enough yet if she hasn't really even had a deep relationship yet to go forth. But
so this is all back at the farm before they go to the barnyard.
Right, yeah, they're still at Jay's farm with all this. But the way Julia reacts though to this was like, unless they were just like ended up just like very much becoming quick friends.
Well, I think I said to you, like, doesn't Julia know this is a competition and she's not there for friends? She's there to try to find someone to marry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes. I mean, there's some girls, right, who are like, I'm just here to get the man, and then I'm not here to make friends, and so forth. And I think there's some who probably are both, right? I mean, they're obviously there for him, but they could make some friends along the way, and so forth. And
Right.
maybe they made a connection. But I will say, it is early on. I'd kind of be shocked to find anyone that I would make a connection with this quick and be like that devastated that they are going home.
Like her
or something.
eyes were very red.
Yeah, I mean, she like started crying, which then I was like, still, is this just some kind of a put on for TV or something? I don't know.
She looked way more devastated in that than passionate about feelings with Jay. So
yeah, I mean, it just seems blown out of proportion the way when her emotions are being expressed.
yeah, so that was shocking to see that.
Yeah.
And then Tiana shows Jay she's serious about things because she carries hay really fast and she walks next to him and talks to him. And then the other girls are very jealous, which plays into this whole episode as well.
Yeah, so she kind of turns it into like a game almost with the hay, and
hey girl, hey.
Yeah. Hey girl, hey. Yeah, so she's kind of making it a game, and she's kind of absorbing a lot of the time of Jay at this moment, which I think we kind of hear some of the other girls kind of salty about that, and they didn't really like that, and
which starts off for tension.
Yes, she seems to. This is where she ends up kind of becoming isolated, as we'll see as they journey their way to the barnyard. But
yes, but let's go into Matt. So the girls are all talking about Hele sneaking out to possibly be with Matt this morning. So that's the big drama going on with his group.
Yeah, so then he has his drama where apparently Hele is out of the house very early in the morning when the girls wake up. They're very suspicious. They immediately,
why would you immediately think she snuck to be with Matt?
Yeah, I mean that I think
I guess because where else would she?
I mean, she's like the very kind of strong-willed, very outgoing, and says what's on her mind out of his group. So maybe that's just why they kind of immediately went there. But yeah, so there's this questioning of where she was in the wee hours of the morning. And so they're all put off by her on this.
And then John, so he says he has this deep bond with Samantha, really good chemistry with her, that this has gotten in the way of him getting to really know any of the other women or even give them a fighting chance. So he recognizes this and he addresses this later on in the episode.
Yeah, so we'll kind of see where he tries to start talking to the other girls.
Yes.
Samantha doesn't seem to have a great liking to this, but
No, she doesn't want that to happen. And then we see Colton and he's playing cards with his girls.
yeah, I see the cards too. It was just great because it's just so much more practical stuff.
Sure.
It's not drinking coffee in the streets of Madrid. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
so much more down to earth with everything.
Yeah. So then the announcer of the show, Kim, says her husband's joining and it's Brad Paisley and he walks in. And we were shocked. I'm sure everybody else wasn't shocked if you've seen season 1 and 2, but this blew us away.
Yeah, I feel like we need to watch just the intro of season 1 just to see
Yeah.
if she explains that she's the wife of
Right.
Brad Paisley.
Off the bat.
Probably. I'm sure I can
If he's
imagine she
there.
would not, but yeah. Yeah, he probably has some appearance, but
So they pair Brad to meet and give advice to the farmers, and then they pair Kim to meet and talk with the women. And Colton is infatuated with Brad off the bat. He goes, I listened to your music the whole entire way down here.
yeah, I mean, he was almost like fangirling a little bit over Paisley, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he kind of has a discussion with the guys, and they kind of ask him for advice. And yeah, he mentions with Kim that she was actually a city girl before meeting him, and
So this is absolutely possible to make it work.
yeah, so he kind of said, necessarily all, maybe the city girls that you're talking to or whatever, it could actually work out or something because there could be something there. I think that wasn't the great advice for Jay, but I think he's the one who took that more to heart than any of the other guys. But
not you, Jay.
yeah, at least not with Julia's connection. But
And then he said Matt has a serious problem not eliminating anybody yet.
yeah, because everyone asked. Or he asked, who else had to eliminate someone. He said, I haven't eliminated anyone yet.
He's like, what?
And yeah. And then he's like, you can't pick them all. But
And then his advice was the girl that you get the most nervous around, she likely is the one for you. So pay attention to that, boys.
yeah.
So then we go into Tiana. She feels great tension between herself and the other ladies in the group. And she's crying, and she decides to address this head on with the ladies and just hash things out. So Julia says, you've made a couple odd remarks to me, and sure, they were jokes, but I didn't appreciate it. And Tiana apologized for this, and Julia says, oh yeah, that, and you talked way too much. You just keep talking and talking. And Grace, too, is not very happy with her. And she goes out crying and then also worrying that Tiana is going to tell Jay that she's mean for the things she said around Tiana. So this creates a whole event here.
At least so they finally have a kind of a discussion to sit down and kind of really address the elephant in the room at this point. And I mean, we see a lot of remarks from Julia and Grace, but Karina sits like in between them, and then she doesn't even say much.
Yeah, the people that have the issues with her really are Julia and Grace. So
I mean, Karina did have a talking head where she kind of said there was like some some tension in the air, and she kind of had a little bit of beef with her, but she really didn't address
show
it
her
at all.
talking
Yeah.
at all in that point. But
Maybe she did say her 2 cents in the situation, but
and Tiana mentioned, this is what made Grace a little upset, that the first date doesn't matter because the girl won't make it to the end, whoever he goes on the first date with, which was Grace. So Grace took offense to this comment that Tiana said, and that was really her issue with Tiana. And Jay's upset hearing that Tiana said this because he said, that's not true. Our date was really special. And then they share a kiss together. So it looks like that kind of strengthened their connection to each other after they talked about this.
Grace kind of gets reaffirmed after talking with Jay that she's still a strong competitor, and that, I mean, yeah, he's having to explore connections with the other women, but she shouldn't feel less than them or
Right.
less of a chance to
She's still a contender.
yeah.
She's not just kicked out because she got the first date. I didn't realize that was the thought, was if you get that first date, maybe they'll forget about you towards the end and you'll get eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could maybe kind of you're right. I mean, you almost think of like Latia, right?
Or
I mean, I'm
Alex
sorry, not Latia, Allie or Alex, yes,
on The Bachelor. Yeah.
where she had the first date, and then
And it looked like things were really strong, but then after that, she kind of like fell.
because there
Wrong.
are, I think at that point, because I would almost say at that point you get that date, but then y- they're gonna have one-on-ones with all the other girls, right? Because they have to. Well, I mean, they need to like explore all the options, and so they're gonna have to have all the one-on-ones, and they're gonna get all theirs, and then so it's gonna be, by whatever the week's in, it's gonna be so long since you've had that first one. If you're not having a lot of connection, I could see where maybe it does weaken compared to some of the others, but
Right.
I mean, I think it's just you just have to stay strong in the group activities, still be
You have to make your presence known still. You can't just fall to the back and then be forgotten about.
yeah.
So it's time to address the Halle leaving for Matt rumor. And Matt gathers the women to talk about this. Halle secretly, or not secretly, but separately told. Who did she tell that she went to go see the sunrise? It wasn't in the big group of women.
It was with Samantha and Kim.
Okay, so she's talking to the other farmer ladies
Yeah.
about this. And she said, I didn't go out to go see him. I actually woke up really early to watch the sunrise, which was quite beautiful. And I don't understand why that wasn't said in the big group addressing moment by her.
This whole thing was like a disaster.
Yeah,
in my
and Matt
opinion.
didn't address it well either.
He did a terrible job with this, because especially because if there really was nothing there, I could kind of understand if there was something there and he was trying to play it off like that would be so. But he's very vague in his response to addressing it to the other ladies of like what happened, and
Well,
he's just like, oh,
basically,
nothing happened. There was nothing there, but he didn't even give exact details to anything,
and Halle says, I'm hearing a lot of things and it's been hurtful. So why not just say, I went to go see the sunrise?
Yeah, I mean, why would you be willing to say this one story that makes you innocent to girls who, to these other girls, but then in this big group setting, you're not willing to admit what really happened? Like that almost does make me, it would make you think, well, what really happened then? Sounds like something clearly
Right.
went down. If you're not willing to just say that, and Matt for to just say, I was asleep. She never came into my house, so she must have gone somewhere else. It wasn't with me. So
Right. He definitely could have worded this a whole lot better.
yeah, I mean, he could have I think put the ease on their minds so much better.
I
than
feel like
this.
now the women are just confused, but
Yeah, the whole thing was just like a terrible. Which I mean, he says later on he's having a very difficult time handling
all of this, from the communication
Yeah.
to picking people and all
It's
that
like it's already
stuff.
bad enough with one girl, let alone 5 girls now. But yeah, I don't know. This whole thing just didn't. I don't know. If you were really nothing happened, then this could have been very easily dealt with. But then we see that Rachel has a very tough. She doesn't really believe this for one bit. She's constantly saying, the story just doesn't make sense and something's going on here, and she's very distraught by this. So
And Matt can't eliminate anybody, so I thought he'd be way more relieved that Rachel chooses to eliminate herself. But she pulls him aside and says, I really don't see myself staying here. I'm leaving. And Matt says, yeah, well, they were just some trust issues she just couldn't get past. Overall, yeah, I think she had some trust issues. I don't think he framed that conversation well either. But I don't think they would have made a good match anyway. I think she's used to being in a city type of environment and definitely not used to this change of pace with country living. And I don't know if she would have been happy long term anyway.
yeah, I don't think she was really a viable option probably from the start with this. I don't think farm life would have really been adjusted with her. I don't know, just coming from Queens. I mean, I can't imagine going
Totally
from there
different.
to farm life. So I almost think this was like an easier option for Matt. I do see it seems like he is probably going to have a lot of indecisiveness going forward with who to pick.
Yeah, it'll
I feel
be
like
interesting.
he's going to have a really tough time, I think, going forward with the elimination process.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it was very. I mean, it was like an easy cop out almost for him since she kind of just volunteered herself. But
Yeah,
I
he
think it'll
didn't
be
have to eliminate anybody.
yeah. I mean, I think the others are probably going to be more willing to stay, but so he'll have to make a decision. But
Right. Yeah. So we then see John dancing with Lily, and Samantha is upset about this. And Samantha says she doesn't think she's on the same page as him. And at the end of the episode, she's battling whether or not to just walk out and leave again, which she's always battling this. So,
yeah, so this is. I mean, she sees the first sign of him, exploring an option with one of these other girls, and she's just
she can't
like
handle
ready
it.
to throw the towel in. She mentions she's not at peace with anything, and this is just the whole. I don't. Then why are you on a show like this? I just.
Exactly. Why are you here? Why'd you sign up for this?
Yeah,
She's acting like she's the most like important person on this show. But it's like she should be in the farmer seat.
Yeah, I mean, or that she wants to.
Drive the
He
steering
should.
wheel.
Yes, that too.
the actual steering wheel, not the farm.
He should just pick her and then not even have a show for like his segment. Like it's just a done deal and so forth.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see probably some future fights or struggles between them in the next episode for sure.
Yeah, that's our big cliffhanger we're left on. What is Samantha going to do?
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the barn dance? Or like the dancing with different women to different songs and the barn layout?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, it looked fun. I mean, it looked like
It did look fun.
cool place. It was just like looks like an old barnyard. They just turned into like a dance floor, and they did a bunch of line dances and slow dances, and there was like one of the I don't know, one of the I forget which farmer it was now. I think it was John. Yes, it was John because it was Lily. Where she basically had to like forcefully ask him to dance with her during the slow dance. And
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
she was like, I like to dance or I like to slow dance. And he was like, oh yeah, that's cool or something. And she's like, well, would you like to dance with me? Like, I mean, she tried to, T-ball it for him and he still was fumbling it. But
It just wasn't natural for some of the farmers.
yeah, I mean, I guess obviously this is something probably way out of their element, but no, I thought I thought the venue was great. I thought it looked very cool, fun, and it wasn't this like way over the top thing that's just gonna paint out this fairy tale picture life. Like they could totally see themselves doing something like that on like a average Friday night or something.
Yeah, maybe they'd go out dancing or something and
Yeah.
they can go into a similar environment.
Yeah.
Well, something else about this show, it doesn't seem like they're drinking all the time too, or being given a lot of drinks and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, there's probably some, but I mean, it doesn't seem as heavily influenced for that. Because I don't know. It doesn't feel like they are trying to push for necessary drama. I mean, there's the environment to where it gets created kind of naturally, but I don't think they're doing a lot of forceful.
Oh, what did you think about the producer scenes that we saw?
Yeah, it was interesting to see like Grace, where she got, when Tiana first made all the comments about her losing, she really lost her cool, and she's like, I don't know if I can stay here anymore. Was very upset, and you see the producer trying to like coax her to stay on and everything will be fine. And
Which this is interesting that they're actually showing the producers and some of their questions they're asking and the conversations they're having, and because they don't typically do that.
yeah, and then there was the one scene, I think it was Chloe when she went home, the producer hugged her. That you actually see that her hugging her.
Yeah, like
And
she actually cared for her.
yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting to kind of see some of the behind the scenes people making an appearance on the screen.
Well,
So.
it's definitely interesting for us now because we're also watching a show called Unreal, which takes you behind the scenes of what goes on shows like The Bachelor, between the producers and the showrunners and things like that. And it's loosely based on some truth too. So,
Yeah, they kind of take a lot of the premonitions that happen, but they've very much dramatized it, mainly to kind of show their point or get you to think about it more.
right.
But yeah, no, it is kind of interesting from that take. But
But yeah, this show definitely seems different than The Bachelor in a refreshing way, more realistic way, which is nice. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it's just much more. Oh, like I said, down to earth. I mean, it's just not. But I mean, I mean, it's farm life. I mean, they can't. If they made it over the top, I feel like it just kind of feel out of place almost. But
I wonder what the success rate is with the couples that get together on this show versus like The Bachelor or Love is Blind or something like that.
yeah, I talked about doing it for The Bachelor, and I never did. But yeah, I would really much interested in this show because I do kind of feel like there's a lot. Now, obviously, too, it is newer, and so it probably doesn't have like the following of Bachelor or Love is Blind, right? So the people that are really doing it more for TV are probably not going to be as much for this type of show
Right.
uh, than one of those. But so there probably is less of that. But all in all, I think the format of this is much more natural,
Yeah.
which I think is nice.
So we're all caught up. Episodes 1 through 4, the episodes that have aired so far. So it's been nice getting to know this new show, and we look forward to seeing what's going to happen in episode 5.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on with the girls and the farmers and what they go. I guess we'll see with with the format. I wonder. I guess they'll kind of maybe do this thing where they go back to the farm for a while for like an episode or two or something. Then they'll
Go somewhere
probably
else.
meet up all together again somewhere, do something, go back. Maybe not, but I guess that's what I'm assuming, kind of based on what has been seen so far. But
Yeah. I am interested to see how the format plays out.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's nice. It's a different touch up. It's interesting following 4 different people, and then them having less people as well, because I think they'll be able to. That too, I think they'd be able to make a better decision having less people and
Yeah, and it's more time spent with
Yes.
their person in the long run. Yeah, I think it definitely helps them make a deeper connection. So,
Yeah, it's probably the same time as like Bachelor or whatever, but it's less people that you have to be talking to, so
right.
you're gonna
Yeah.
be able to be a deeper connection by the end. So
So yeah, we're going to start reviewing each episode one by one now. So check out our episode 5 review after it comes out.
yes, that'll be next week. So
Yeah.
once it airs.
Yeah. And also Got to Get Out just aired with all their episodes. So we're going to be checking that out too. So we're excited for that.
Yes, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 great shows.
Yeah, so make sure to tune in if you're interested in that.
Yeah. Tune in, give us a shot at love. A double shot at love. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of A Fine Podcast.
Yes, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like it, and check us out on social media if you haven't already. A Fine Podcast.
Yeah, follow us, keep up with us, and keep up with our journey as we watch these farmers and ladies.
Yes, we'll get on our cowboy hats and boots next week as well. So
Join us for a great time.
we'll see you then.
Bye.
Ciao.